Okay.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to our Sunday lecture. Before we start the program, I would like all of you to join me in reciting Al-Fatiha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. Before I introduce the topic and the speaker, Dr. Jabrin has a few announcements.
Assalamu alaikum. Just to let everybody know that our Imam for Ramadan is arriving hopefully tomorrow. Today actually. So he's arriving from Egypt. He will be with us all the month of Ramadan. And his plan is to do all of the programs in Ramadan. For example, Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, and Tarawih. And if people are willing, he will do also halaqat, and hopefully he will be greeted very well, and look forward to seeing him. The second one is the full-time. As you know, there is a search committee who has been working really hard, and they made a decision to finalize out of the 16 applicants, 2 finalists. Among the 2 finalists, one made it to the top, and we are in the final stage of negotiation. Hopefully, he will join us soon. The word soon, it kind of can spread, but hopefully no later than mid-June. It's also possible that there will be visitation back and forth. Okay. Uh, the other thing is that please spread the word that our march is not empty. It's actually full on Friday, and there is a Sunday program. There is also an adult program, one Quranic lessons, and the other is the, you know, Iqbal, yes,
Poetry.
yes, and also this lecture, and we have a full-time Sunday school, and also we have breakfast for the time being, and also a lunch after the prayer. So please join us after all of that. Thank you.
I wish I could make the announcement that the president pays for the lunch every Sunday. He doesn't. You have to buy your own lunch. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Fatima Aldajani. She is going to talk about mindfulness during Ramadan. She has sterling credentials. She has a master's degree in Quranic exegesis, and then she has a doctorate in curriculum and instruction. Her trajectory from student life to the present has been nothing short of amazing. Currently, she is instructor in the American Language Institute on the campus of University of Toledo. So I am really pleased and honored to welcome our speaker. Please.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure to be here today.
Is the microphone working?
Okay. My voice is good, or you want to make it?
You have to
Just get closer to it.
come closer.
Come a little bit closer?
Hold on.
Okay,
Let me see if we can help out.
like this?
Yes.
Better?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. This is not my computer, so I'm trying to figure out,
I think you're good.
I think you're good.
Click on it on this. Push it.
F5.
I guess I might need
Can
some
you help
help.
Rebel have?
Yeah.
Can you click for her?
Doesn't work on my. So now,
Do you know anything about that computer?
What's-
Oh, that's your excuse?
And it was working.
It's too late, you touched it, man.
Not my body. I need. That's why.
Is it possible to switch it off and then do it?
Yeah, just have her talk without the presentation if she can. No? I don't know how to do that. That was sitting here. The Lydian guy, he's been coaching me for a long time. Thank God, man, for that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he's very helpful. He's our counsel. He's been our counsel before. Yeah.
So why don't you forward this email to the
Do that. Are you back just for the winter or what? So you're just visiting today, huh? You're up there visiting?
Yes, if you know, I have to be vacation. I'll be back on Friday.
Good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to be here. You know, I wish I could live here. My kids would with me. Like, just like,
Yes.
It's always good to be near family.
I have kids, yeah. You know, when we get older, so they look after us. Right, fun.
That's
You should have said right Noel.
Well, I did with my daughter.
She lives with her daughter
I
too.
took my
so-
condo in Delaware.
There's a private 5G.
That's a smart thing to do.
It is.
I think we just got the tail of it. Yeah. Cold as hell too.
I called you twice and they said the number is wrong.
Oh, no. How'd you guys get it?
But she called me and I called her the same number.
How'd you guys get it?
So I gave me the new number, so I make it.
Oh,
I think I have her something. Yeah, I did. Hard code. She hasn't been.
how'd she get one
Oh,
right?
I know that.
Our drive? Oh,
Well, oh, you can't do it. I'm so we miss you.
ahead of time?
Because I always look at this what I want Friday. It's coming, it's coming. Yes, we will.
No, I for somebody.
Which is okay, there's nothing wrong with that, there's nothing wrong with that, somebody.
Where do you see that?
No, that you told me the way it's coming.
Oh, one and one, I see.
Yeah, no, because from this house I didn't know.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's Sarah.
They still have a good brand.
She lives in Texas.
Well, that's so, that's.
What's she doing? F5.
That's good.
What's she doing?
Yay!
Oh, now you come through, huh?
Okay, sorry for all this inconvenience and technical issues. Okay, let's take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
I am a teacher. So, I like my students always to get engaged. So, I want you to get engaged.
Can you speak into the microphone, please?
Yeah, I am a teacher, so I like my student to get engaged, so I can get their attention from the beginning of the class. So we're going to do that together here as well. So I need you to think about and take a moment and check your mind, your body, and your heart. And to do that, I want you to come up with one word for each, like, what is your body feeling, your mind, what is the state of your mind right now, and what is the state of your heart. And because I want to see these words, so if you can take your phone out, scan the QR code, it will take you to a website where there is 3 boxes, and you can enter one word for each box, one for your mind status, one for your heart, and one for your body. So I'll give you a minute or so to do that. And then we can look together at the results. First, you need to enter the code. So once you are in that website, they will ask you for a code. It's on the screen, 54506196. And then there, you're gonna see 3 boxes. And for each one, I want you to describe your mind, your heart, and your body in 1 word. So if you open your camera and you put the camera on the QR code, there is a yellow thing at the bottom. Click on it, it will take you to the link automatically. So it's easy, but I know it's challenging for people who are not used to do that. Yeah, and if you like, after we look at the answers, to share your own words, I would be more than happy. I want to show you the words. So let's look here. See? So these are some of the words that people already put in, describing their mind, body, and heart. And as we can see, we have the word tired, good, heart excited, happy, energy. People are still implementing words, stressed. So as we can see, there is a mixing of feelings and emotions and status of mind. And it's really important to acknowledge that these are normal feelings and emotions. So for those who didn't have a chance to get into the website, what type of words you like to add?
Cloudy.
Cloudy. Nice word. Who else?
Yep.
Okay. Happy. Okay, so let's go back to the presentation. So the reason why I asked you about these words to be added is, as a human being, we have this type of feeling and emotions that we have when we are we have the intention to do something. So you were arriving here in a certain mode or in a certain emotion, and you have that intention. So give yourself a moment and think, what brought you here? And how did you arrive here? What type of intention you had in your mind before you arrived here? So for a second or two, reflect on that self-reflection on why I'm here and what brought me here. Maybe you had that before you came here. Maybe you're just realizing, oh yeah, I never thought about why I'm here. I'm just here because I'm here every Sunday. Or I'm here because my friend is giving the lecture. Or I'm here because the topic was really interested when I read about it. And the thing is, checking yourself and you have that awareness, why I am here, will build that foundation and create the foundation of having the growth to develop your own self. And once you reach that level, you're automatically building the foundation to have the ability to reflect on your thoughts, intention, and actions. And I know maybe this is a little bit still complex, you don't understand what I'm talking about. So throughout the next 30, let's say 25 minutes, we're going to describe these levels, how to become aware and have that growth, and then reach the reflection stage on why we're doing things. So, again, these are two important questions. Why we're here, okay? And the biggest question to relate it to our topic, which is Ramadan, because Ramadan is arriving. So how am I arriving to Ramadan? How am I going to arrive when Ramadan comes on Thursday? What is my feelings, thoughts, intention? And what do I have to think about and be aware of? So the first question, choose one big challenge that you think you're going to face in Ramadan and keep it in your mind, okay? And then after you found that challenge, think about how are you going to balance between the things that you have to do in Ramadan, including that thing, and how this is going to make you a better version of yourself. Because in Ramadan, we always have this list. I need to become better in reading Quran. I want to finish a whole khutbah. I want to make sure that I am reconnecting with my old family and reaching out to people who I've, for a long while I didn't spoke to them. Or I want to give more charity. Or I'm going to make qiyam every night. Okay? This is a list for things that I want to do. And it's a long list. But how are you going to balance with how you're going to achieve all these goals on your list and how this is going to make you a better person in Ramadan and after Ramadan? Because a lot of time we have this long list and then when Ramadan finished, we maybe couldn't achieve any of these goals or maybe one barely. And then once Ramadan is done, we go back to our normal life. And then we wait till the next year and we have the same list and we're trying during Ramadan to reach these goals and then we go back and the cycle keeps going. So this time we're going to think about how this goal or list or challenge is going to make me a better version of myself even after Ramadan. And so to understand the meaning of mindfulness, I want to introduce different perspectives. The first one has to do with the neuroscience perspective. So there is two scientists named Daniel and Gilbert, and they're from Harvard. They're psychologists. They made a study, and that study asked that people usually, most of the time, they're not aware what they're doing. So when you leave home in the morning and you drive to work, you just do it as a habit. You didn't think about it. When you get your kids ready for school or when you do like normal daily things, we do it as a habit because we have been doing it for a long time. Every day at the same time, same thing, so we don't think about it. So they did this study to see how much people are really paying attention to what they're doing or being aware of the moment that they're doing what they're doing. And this question for you, what do you think the percentage was? That people are not paying attention or not aware of what they're doing?
70.
70, you would say? Any other suggestions? So the study said that 47, which is almost 50% of people are not paying attention and they're not aware of what they're doing. They just do it because they have been doing it for a long time and they're not paying attention to their thoughts, their feelings, whether they're stressful or not, whether they're happy or not, whether they are really know what's the intention for doing this thing. And they did another study on leadership, like people who has a leadership position. And they found that 70% of those leaders, when they enter a meeting, their mind is busy of thinking of other stuff. So they're not thinking of that meeting, what like the state of moment. What am I going to say in that meeting? What do I have to do? And what do I need to be aware of in that meeting? Which lead us that there is only 2% based on that study who really pay attention and they focus on the moment of, and they have the ability to think and reflect on what they're doing and why they're doing it. And this take us to there is the neuroplasticity, which is in the recent decade, there is a lot of research about that because people in the past used to think that, okay, when you grow up, you cannot change your mind and you can't change your brain, and that's who you are. You're an adult, it's hard to change. But the neuroplasticity science proves that our brain has the ability to change no matter how old are you. And it's based on adapting to due to an experience and how much you're repeating that experience and you're practicing it. So um, the idea behind it is when our neurons rewire and fire together, if they're learning something new or they're practicing something new or they want to build a new habit, they open new pathways in your brain, and that's how you get used to it and your brain can change. So you can change your habits. Now, there is a very, let's say, like an umbrella for the meaning of the mindfulness. And this is a professor at Harvard. Her name is Ellen Gilbert. She said it's a mental status that achieved by focusing on one's awareness on the present moment while calmly acknowledging and accepting one's feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations used as a therapeutic technique. And we're going to talk about this definition deeply while I'm explaining how it's related to the Islamic perspective. So in Surah Al-Ankabut, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والذين جاهدوا فينا لنهدينهم سبلنا وإن الله لمع المحسنين. So and those who strive for us, we will guide them to our paths. So if you think about the neuroplasticity science that I just told you about, and you look at this ayah, Allah said, لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. So what is a subul? It's a path. So when you strive to change yourself, to become close to Allah and have this relationship with Allah, then you're opening paths in your brain through your neurons, and Allah will help you and guide you and open these paths for you. So the connection between this ayah and what the science is saying, it makes you feel, yes, if you have the ability to say that I want to pay attention and have more awareness of one thing in Ramadan that I want to change, and I work on that change and I keep practicing it, then I'm doing the وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا, and I'm opening new pathways in my brain to be able to change that habit. Okay, so from the perspective of the Islamic definition for the mindfulness, it's basically equivalent to the word muraqabah, which is the status of being aware of oneself in relationship to Allah. So the mindfulness, the science of mindfulness, they would always define it as the state of being aware of yourself, your thoughts, your feelings, your intention, and all of this. But in Islam, we have this feeling or a state of being aware of my relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's the big difference, because I'm doing it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and for the sake of Allah and for the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the basis of muraqabah is the word ihsan. And we remember that when Jibreel alayhi salam came to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and he asked him about what is Islam and what is Iman. And at the end he asked him, so what is ihsan? And when he told him that ihsan is when you have that acknowledge that Allah is always watching you at all times. So you have that type of muraqabah, that Allah is watching me. So I am aware of every single thought, feeling, action, and intention that I have in myself. And so the ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah, وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَعْلَمُ مَا فِي أَنفُسِكُمْ فَاحْذَرُوهُ. So the word فَاحْذَرُوهُ, remember that God knows what is in your soul. So be mindful of Him. The word فاحذروه has the meaning of mindfulness. Be mindful that Allah knows everything about you and yourself and your soul. So be careful, be mindful. Al-Imam al-Ghazali has stated that there are three grades or status for fasting. And I'm going to describe this and then connect it to the mindfulness meaning. So there is the ordinary fasting, which is I'm referring myself from eating and drinking in Ramadan. And that's maybe the majority of the people does it, even the younger ones. But then there is the special fasting stage, which is you keep your eyes, your ears, your tongue, your hands, your feet, even your thoughts, not to get to any sin during Ramadan. And then there is the third stage, which is the extra special fasting, where you are concerned about every single moment and thought you have in yourself. And this is the prophet type of fasting. And it's really hard on us as a human to be like in every second and every moment. So there is no moment or second where you're not paying attention or you're not aware or you're not in that state of being of awareness with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So let's see how we can become a Muslim who is practicing a special fasting of Ramadan. And that is the mindful fasting that we are going to talk about. So we're not only don't want to eat or drink during Ramadan, it is also we're using the idea of mindfulness by taking the advantages of the present moment, that I am present in every single moment, or I'm trying to be present every single moment on how am I going to utilize and cultivate to get to the success that I want or the rewards and deeds that I want to get from Ramadan, and how can I become the better version of myself even after Ramadan, not just only in Ramadan. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Baqarah, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, الصيام كتب عليكم okay this is يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. O you have believed, fasting have been prescribed for you as it was prescribed for those before you, so that you may become righteous. So the word righteous, أو taqwa, it is related to the word that you have the state of being aware of your practices, action, feelings, thought, intentions into your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the question is, how can I become more mindful in Ramadan? I can put it in very easy, simple words, that it has to be how much you practice what you want you're doing, and how much you are practicing to be in that state of moment, and you are conscious and you're aware of what you're doing. So I'll give you an example. When you're eating your futur, you're breaking your fast, and you're sitting here with your family. Usually we do that because we do that. We are hungry, we want to break our fast, so we sit on the table and we start eating. But how many of us has ever thought about that moment? That I'm with my family and I'm eating, and I'm thinking about the way I'm eating, and I'm taking it slowly, just to think about that blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that I have the blessing of having a family to break my iftar with. I'm not by myself. I have the blessing of I have food on my table, and I'm healthy, and I'm eating, and I'm safe, and I'm not threatened. All these feelings that come into your mind, how many of us keep thinking about them and make it like it's the intention and it's the practice that I'm doing it every single day? My prayers, when I come to pray every day, how much I'm present in that moment, or just I'm doing it because I just want to pray and just I don't want to miss my prayers. So I'm doing the fard and I just say Salaam alaikum and go back to my work. How much I'm spending time in my prayers to be in that moment and reflect on my actions and my thoughts and how I want to become a better person and change my attitude and build new habits in myself. So it's really good to use our five senses, like the sight, the hearing, the smelling, even the walking. Right now, our generations, I remember when I was young, we didn't have any technology or phones or social media. So when we were bored, we might go outside, have a walk, or go play with in the nature, climb trees, try to build something with the sand, or go collect some flowers, or pick some flowers, or do something outside with the nature. So we're more connected to the nature. So you have the time to use your senses to be connected to the nature and think and reflect about that. Now we are very connected to our phones. So when we're done with work or we need to have like a time out or a relaxation, we just get our phones and start looking at what is on social media. So we're not using our senses to reflect on that state of being and connect it to our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this might be a good goal to work on during Ramadan is how much I'm going to use my senses and have that relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through whatever around me and take away any distractions so I keep focus on that moment. So two simple words I can describe it. It's going from autopilot mode to the aware mode. Okay? Same like on your phone. Okay, so just turn off everything that's distracting you and be aware of that moment. And it's really good we can start with a very small portion that during the day you would say, I'm going to have that time, during that time that I am going to be in the state of being aware and the state of being thoughtful and being reflecting on myself and how I'm going to be a better person even after Ramadan. So in Ramadan, usually, again, I'm going back to that list that there is, as a ibadah, Ramadan is the only ibadah from the five pillars that there is a lot of don't, not do's. So with zakah, hajj, and salah, you have to do things. Okay? With Ramadan, there's a lot of don'ts. So with that being said, it's really, you need that moment where you're really focusing. Am I really not doing the things that Allah asked me not to do? Or I am not paying attention to these things. Because a lot of time when you're hungry during the day of Ramadan, you start thinking about, oh, I'm hungry when his futur is coming. I'm hungry. And you might feel frustrated or stressful or you're angry. But when you think about that moment that, well, I have to be gratitude because after a few hours, I'm going to break my fast and I will be fine. And let me shift my thoughts to think about something else that will give me rewards and deeds. And if just thinking about, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I want to eat something. So let's think about it in this way. Ramadan is not about just only adding good deed. So you get that relationship to Allah, but it's also, I'm cleansing my heart. So if I have that intention that I want to really cleanse my heart, the way you're shifting your thinking and your thought, it's going to reflect on your way of looking at your siyam, your fasting, and during the day of Ramadan. And being just only worried about how many pages of Quran I read, and how many khitmas I finished, and how many rik'ah I have prayed during the qiyam, or the dhikr that I have been making during Ramadan. And instead of the quantity, focus on the quality, okay, and the experience of that ibadah. So with reading Quran, I would rather understand what I'm reading, even if it's only a few ayat, and then practice whatever in that ayat on my daily life and change myself to become that better person or better version of myself, and instead of just finishing 3 khitmah during Ramadan. Another thing is the food preparation. So let's start reflecting on that relationship with the food and cultivating that into our soul. And how, like, for example, you can start thinking about how I want to have a healthy food to have a healthy body so I can make ibadah during the night. Because a lot of time, if we break our fast and we eat a lot of carbs and there is no healthy eating, then we might feel that, oh, we just want to go to sleep or our body is really exhausted. So we're not able to go make taraweeh and pray our qiyam and do our ibadah during the night. So this relationship between us and the food, I'm looking at it in a different way. And so it's connecting to that relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the state of being and the moment of reflecting on myself. And then another example is sometimes you think in Ramadan, because you want to be that good person, I would say yes to everything because I don't want to get into that argument. And so I lose hasanat or I get angry. But it's again, let me go back to that. I want to be thinking and being aware and in that present moment where I will really be reflecting on my emotions, why I'm feeling that way, and then based on that, I will act and react to whatever situation I am in. So there is a big difference between just saying to everything okay and I'm forgetting myself because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that we have to take care of ourselves and our bodies and our mental health and emotions. And again, sometimes we think it's about fasting only from food, drinking, like eating, drinking, not drinking water, and sex, but it's not. It's your eyes. What are you watching? What are you hearing? Your actions. Where are you walking to? So even your inner thoughts, you should be fasting from all of these things. It's not just only about the physical or things that we can touch in our hand and we feel it. And the last one is going from one activity to another without just thinking why I'm doing that or just because I'm doing it every day. Take the time to have that personal silence and reflecting on why you're doing things. Even when you're going to work, while you're driving to work or you're going to school or you're doing anything, have that moment where you're reflecting on yourself and how this is connecting you to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so how to gain the spiritual benefits of fasting? It's to be grateful, to reflect on ourselves, to have that self-awareness, and to have self-care. And in order to have all these, I like to show you a visualized model. They call it the heart model. It's created by a person named Wadud Hassan. What I like about this model is, so he's telling you how we can be mindful with our hearts. And he's using the ayat from connecting some of the ayats and how you're going to have that state of moment and mind in your heart to be connected. And then the next slide, I'll show you how it's connected to fasting in Ramadan. So heals in his presence, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which means mindfulness. How am I going to be trying to every moment to have that mindfulness and a state of being aware with my relationship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the second one, I need to have a purpose. So in order to be mindful, I need to have a purpose why I'm doing that. Okay? So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Baqarah said, and mentioned, O Muhammad, when your Lord said to the angels, I'm going to place a successor on earth. This is our purpose. Why we're here. Why Allah put us on earth. So when I connect my purpose to that purpose that Allah created me for, all my actions, thoughts, and intention is going to be directly connected to the purpose that Allah created me for. And then the third one is the gratitude, which is أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وَإِسْتَأَذَّنَ رَبُّكُمْ لَإِنْ شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. And remember when your Lord proclaimed, if you are grateful, I will certainly give you more. How many of us had always thought about how they are grateful for what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them? Even when there is hardship, there is always gratitude in that hardship. But it's just the way we have that moment, the present, the moment of present, of to look in that hardship, where is the gratitude in that hardship? And then the fourth one, rise with patience and humility, which is the emotional regulations. We all have emotions, but a lot of us, because of the challenges and the fast way that we're living right now with social media and technology, we are not acknowledging our emotions. And that's why we have an increase in mental health issues, because people are not acknowledging their emotions. And because even if you, like, but for example, you have an ego, and your goal in Ramadan is to let go of your ego. Once you acknowledge that emotion and you start regulating it, you're going to have that shift in your brain and creating new pathways. If you are working on that on a daily basis, how am I going to let my ego go? So in every situation, your ego is up there. You're taking a moment and being aware of it, and you're trying to change it to a better habit where I'm letting it go and I want to be that person, which is وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ وَاللَّهُ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. They check their anger and pardon their fellow men, and God loves those who practice ihsan. And we just talked about how this is related to the mindfulness meaning from the perspective of Islam. Muraqabah, that's the foundation of ihsan. And the last one is thrive with compassion. And compassion comes through service and volunteering and charity and giving to other people in the community. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. And we have not sent you, O Muhammad, except as a mercy to the world. And so the next slide, these are questions on the bottom that you can ask yourself to practice this type of mindfulness during Ramadan. When you choose that one thing that you want to change and you want to keep it after even Ramadan, because you want to have that better version of yourself after Ramadan. And again, we're not looking for quantity, we're looking for the quality of that one thing. So with mindfulness, which is لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, ask yourself, how do you cultivate a mindful heart, which is focused, present, and at peace? Because we need that time of peace and silence and calming in order to be able to reflect and be focused and present. And then, for what purpose? إيمانا واحتسابا, which is how do you emerge with your authentic purpose and vision of your best self? Because I want the rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because I believe in Him for the purpose He sent me to the earth, so I can get my deeds and rewards and Jannah. And then the third one, which is the grateful, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ, so that you become more grateful. Ask yourself, how do you reform negativity and scarcity in God-centered others? So it's about, you're asking yourself, how am I going to move all these negative feeling and thoughts and be grateful? Again, if there is hardship, there is always grateful in that hardship. And then after that, being patient. When you're fasting, yes, you need to be patient. And if you're not in that moment and the present and focused, you won't be able to practice that patience. So you ask yourself, how do you learn to regulate strong emotions and not get carried away? So when somebody said something bad to you or irritate you, how are you going to step back and think how you're going to react to that person. So again, we're using the mindfulness on how I'm acting, how my actions are with other people around me. And the last one is again compassion. We want to be, how do you expand your capacity to model Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Compassion. Because during the months of Ramadan, كان أجود بالخير من الريح المرسلة. He, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was more generous than gushing, nurturing wind brings mercy and good for people. So he's our role model, and we want to be his companion on the day after. So we need to make sure that we are following his path. And again, expert says that it takes 21 days to develop a new habit and for your brain to change. So we have more than 20 days in Ramadan. We have 30 days. So there is a plenty of time to develop good habits and to change ourselves to that better version that we want to keep even after Ramadan and post Ramadan. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us and give us the strengths and ability to be our better version in Ramadan and after Ramadan. And Jazakumullah khairan.
Any questions or comments?
Or thoughts or comments? Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for such a nice presentation. It really
Give me a mic.
resonated with me.
Give a mic,
Yeah.
extra mic,
Just that one.
extra mic.
No.
Only this one. Either you have to speak loud or I'll have to
I
bring
think
the
it's
mic.
pretty loud, I've been told.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for such a educational session. It resonated with me on so many levels. But as a mother of two school-age children and working full time, 5 days a week, there's so many interruptions in our day-to-day life that make it nearly impossible to just really get into this like frame of mind to do special fasting, or let alone extra special fasting. So how would you, I guess, advise a woman who has a family and she's the default parent and she's the default person, rather she's everybody's person, and any words of advice for how to make Ramadan more than just an ordinary fast?
So actually, this is a good question, and I can relate it to myself. Okay, I just graduated from my PhD. So last semester, I'm a full-time worker, full-time student. I have kids, I have home, I have a lot of responsibility. So I can really relate to what you're talking about. And there's one thing that I really started, and as I said in my presentation, take one thing and reserve a very short amount of time during the day for that one thing that you want to change or get into that habit. And what I know during the day, I'm so busy. I don't have time. So I decided, and I have been doing this for maybe a couple of months, and I really see some kind of difference. I think I still need more. Is I started when I wake up for Fajr, I wake up a little bit like half an hour earlier. So when I pray my Fajr, I sit in front of my window and I just do that mindfulness moment where I'm reflecting, I'm present, I'm focused, and I'm having that moment. And it makes a very big difference on my entire day because I'm starting my day in that way. So my suggestion is choose that moment during the day, even if it's just only 15 minutes. It's going to make, by the time you keep practicing it, you will look forward to it. And you will miss it if one day I wake up a little bit later and I didn't wake up on time, I would miss that moment. And I would say, oh my God, I missed that moment. I was looking forward to that moment even when I sleep at night and I put my head because I want to wake up. I would say, oh, I'm looking for that moment. So my suggestion is find that time in the day, whether early in the morning, after everybody went to sleep. For me, I will be exhausted. I can't choose that time. But yeah, I found that moment waking a little bit earlier, like 15 minutes or half an hour, it helped me to start that habit. Any other questions, comments?
I guess you covered it so beautifully.
Thank you so much.
I want to thank you very much for a very comprehensive and your talk was from a different angle, which is so nice. Generally, we have people, and I'm not putting them down, all they do is to take a stick and hit you on your head. This is what you have to do. Okay. So this flexibility, which you indicated, is wonderful. Thank you all. We'll go for prayers and then we'll go down for lunch.
Amazing.
Need a double clip? Oh.